Hello and welcome to another episode of Football Corner Pod, wherein we talk about all things football. I'm Hari Keshav, and it is so good to be back. We had taken a bit of a break, but we are back to doing what we love, which is annoy you guys with a lot of football. Today we have with us two ardent fans. We have with us Vishal, a Man United fan who is joining us from UK. And I have to say, I'm a tad bit jealous of you, Vishal, because this man was at Old Trafford for the
Lived your dream.
exactly, absolutely, and probably every Man United fan's dream, because this man was at Old Trafford for the Lyon game, where United won 7-6 aggregate, and we're going to get him to share his experience on the pod. So, welcome to the pod, Vishal. Wow.
No. Thank you, Hari. Thanks for having me.
Brilliant. We also have with us Saket, who's a die-hard Chelsea fan. He's seen the club through the highs of Abramovich and the lows of post Abramovich, and also a rigmarole of managers. So he's seen it all, and they've also won a lot. And we have with us Saket. So welcome to the pod, Saket, as well.
Thanks for having me, Hari.
Friendly. And for our viewers, both of you, could you give us a brief introduction and tell us when you began watching football, how the love towards United and Chelsea, respectively, started? It would be great for our viewers to know. Vishal, if you could give us some insights.
Okay. So I think so growing up, I was always a cricket fan actually. I used to play cricket because of that. I was always into cricket. Although like I knew about football, I used to watch a bit the World Cups and stuff. I wasn't really into it as much. The whole supporting United bit started when I actually saw Wayne Rooney playing in 2004, I believe that was. And I was just immediately hooked. I was like, this guy's I'm sorry. This guy's unbelievable. But then I started supporting United in 2005. And since then, fortunately or unfortunately, I've been a Man United fan. It's been great, man. Hari, you know about this. Like we've seen all the successes, but recently we've also seen failure. So it's been a bit of a weird journey, but it's what makes United what it is. It's just a fun, it's a roller coaster ride. You just have to enjoy it.
Brilliant. And who's been your best player? I know you said you got into watching United with Rooney, but over the years, if there is one player who you always idolize.
Wayne Rooney. I love Wayne Rooney. Like, it's not even the player Wayne Rooney, but it's like his mentality and all of that as well. It's just what made me love Man United in the first place. Like, even after the post-Fergie period, I think he was that one person who held that the whole Man United, we play for Man United, that tag together. And once he left and a few other players left, it just feels like that's the passion we need within the
Yeah.
team. So it's always been Wayne Rooney.
And he
Yeah.
was so close to coming to Chelsea as well, and that would be a great segue.
Imagine.
Imagine that.
That would have been
Imagine.
amazing. I still
That too under Mourinho.
exactly, I still remember that game, start of the season, United Chelsea, and Mourinho plays without a striker to show Rooney, this is where I
Yeah.
would play you if you
Yeah.
play. That-
That interview, post-game interview still haunts me. Oh my God. I was so scared.
Absolutely. Saket, your journey
Yes.
into football and how you got affected with the Chelsea bug.
So I would say, just like Vishal, not a very ardent cricket fan, but I was, you can say, a wrestling fan from my childhood. Even in my hometown, we used to do a lot of wrestling, like even proper, what we call is in Hindi, akharas.
Mhm.
I used to do that. So I used to follow a lot of WWF at that time.
Okay, nice.
So you remember that WWF Undertaker, Kane, something like that. And I was just watching, I think that time it was Star Sports also, or ESPN combined it used to come. And I was just toggling through the TV, and somewhere in 2005-6 season, I watched Hernan Crespo
Okay.
scoring a goal. And it was a rainy a match under the rainfall. And I was like, wow, this is something. And just got to know that was the 100th season for Chelsea, and it was one of the best season for Chelsea. 2005-6. It was, I think, Chelsea won 9 games in a row,
Hmm.
and almost they won the Premiership in 29 matches, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
So something like that. Then slowly, and that was the season when my favorite, I would say, legend, Michael Essien came to Chelsea.
Okay.
So I have been like you can say a midfielder, a central defender or midfielder role. I have been playing that. But Michael Essien and Kante. These have been my favorite player because these are players you can trust any day.
Amazing.
They can anchor your team. They can hold the game. So that's had been my journey. I think I have seen ups, downs, everything, like changing match. You can see managers like Scolari and AB, everything. I've seen everything, highs and lows. Today we call a lot of them as plastic fans. That time we didn't know what plastic fans
Huh,
are.
huh.
So yes, it's a long journey, but still,
You could,
Chelsea, KTFFH,
yeah. You could say that the manager was also used as plastic, thrown, like just crushed 3, 4 matches and then
crash.
thrown. Yeah, this is just
And
crazy.
I'm a major fan of Special One.
Ah,
Even though he went to United, but that's part of the deal. We can manage that.
so that is the one thing that we will have common on this podcast. We at least had the
Yes,
special one
only that.
together. Yeah. And we also had a couple of others. We had Falcao, and but we will not talk about all
Juan Mata.
that. Oh yes,
You had
Juan
our best
Mata.
player, Juan Mata.
that is true. That is true.
Exactly.
Perfect. Thanks again, boys, for that brilliant introduction. So, in today's episode, it's crystal clear. We're going to be talking about Chelsea and Man United. Both sets of the fans have to endure their own pains during the season. For United, it has just been how low can we go? And for Chelsea, there was some hope and there was a lot to look forward to. And then they all came crashing down. And there's still a lot of things to be done at the end of the season. And there is still that possibility of playing Champions League. So, lots to get to in this podcast. So let's just jump into this pod. And guys, please feel free to jump into what the United fan has to say and also the United fan into Chelsea. That's what we do best. Start with hopeful Man United. I'm saying woeful because if not for Europa League this season, Vishal, United are almost still have the possibility of finishing 17th in the league. But you were at Old Trafford at in that on that fateful night against Lyon, 7-6 aggregate. Just I would like you to walk the viewers through the rigmarole of emotions that went through at various parts of the game. Actually,
So you know what the craziest part is? I've made up a mind that we are going to finish 17th in the Premier League. I'm completely prepared for that. For me, it'd be a shock if we don't. But for some reason, when it comes to Europa League, I've just got this different level of confidence. It just feels like it's a completely different team, a completely different competition. So I honestly had a lot of hope for the game. I didn't think it would be this close, to be completely honest with you. Like, we shouldn't be just winning against a team like Lyon, and that to 10 men. But then it was crazy. But then, so I went for the game with
yeah.
Akhilesh. Hari, you know Akhilesh. We went together, and the moment we got into the tram and we were on our way to the stadium itself, you could feel the atmosphere. So that journey itself, it was brilliant because people were just singing chants, not of the current players, mind you, but of all the old players we've had. And that was just a lot of fun. We had chants for Adnan Januzaj going around. So,
Wow.
imagine that was how the atmosphere was. But then, even from the minute we got into the stadium, one thing that I have to say is, like I said, the fans, like for them, the Europa League, I think, is just something that they're really confident about for some reason, which I don't know why. I don't have a lot of confidence, honestly, that we'll beat Spurs. But again, when it comes to match day, I'm like, yeah, we're winning this easily. It just happens. But then just from the start, to be honest with you, like I never thought that we'd be scoring easy goals and stuff. You saw the match. It was just free-flowing football. And I think that was the first time I felt the boys were really in the mood, let's just say. Like they felt like United players and they felt like players who wanted to win that day. Especially, I don't want to single out one player or anything, but then Casemiro, Bruno, all of them together, they was just completely on the game that day. And when it was 2-0 up, honestly, me and Akhilesh were just talking like, you know what, this game's wrapped up. We're talking about life, we're talking about other stuff. And then it started happening, as it always does. And I can't tell you, when it went to 2-1, I think the whole stadium knew, you know what, it's 3-2. It's gonna happen sometime soon. And like I was just telling Achilles the same thing over and over again. We've made the biggest mistake that we've gone up at halftime, and we've now got to protect that record of ours. That's the only thing that keeps us alive right now with our academy. And that was the one thing that I was genuinely scared about. But the minute it went 3-2, I lost all hopes, man. I'll be honest with you. I was like, yeah, this game's freaking gone from our hands. And then that red card again. after the red card, it's just the intensity itself, man. We see that happening in the Premier League all the time. But the players, for some reason, they just get this overwhelming confidence, I feel, and then the intensity just completely drops altogether. And that's what we saw in the stadium as well. So I think the fans also got really frustrated after a point of time when the third goal went in, when they saw the people just jogging around, stuff like that. Especially, again, I don't want to single him out, but then Hoyland, oh my God, that game was anyway. So 10 men down, and we were just again really hopeful. But then when that fourth goal went in, I'll be honest with you, I was one of those fans where we did get up from our seats and we were like, let's just leave. We almost left, but then we convinced ourselves and we were like, you know what? Maybe something happens. And the next minute, Bruno gets that penalty. Again, it's one of those things. When that goal went in, we are like, okay, you know what? Something major is gonna happen. And honestly, the next 6 minutes is like a fever dream for me, man, because I can't tell you the emotions I went through, the people I jumped on, the stadium noise. I can't explain it. Honestly, I couldn't have
Yeah.
chosen a better game to go and watch live. And this, by the way, this was my second time watching United. First time at OT, but second time watching United. The first time I saw them was also a nil-nil draw against Aston Villa at Villa Park. And that was prime Eric Ten Hag. So it was I don't want to go into it, but then yeah, like that day was honestly one of the craziest days ever. And even after the game, the atmosphere from the stadium to the train station was just freaking unbelievable, man. Just amazing
I
altogether.
mean, as I said, I am a tad bit jealous, but now that I've heard the account from you, I just felt that I have lived this dream along with you because yeah, it was literally the same. I can't imagine the decibel levels. As you said, you would have
Oh my
fallen
God.
on people, you would have hugged people, and you will never meet them probably in life. I don't know, you never say never, but
Genuinely.
that's just, I think the word that was used was limbs, right? I love that word,
Yeah,
limbs.
oh, proper libs, proper libs. Oh my God.
Brilliant. On a segue to Chelsea, and I titled this Chelsea at Sea because Saket, we've had countless Chelsea fans come on this pod, and we were discussing in October and November that they were not using the word title charge, but they were silently confident. They would quote Maresca and say, the next game is the most important game. They said, keep the blue flag flying high. And they were quietly confident that they can push Liverpool hard. But suddenly, I don't know, and I want to ask you this, do you feel there was a single point in the season that the whole thing unraveled from being a title charge or at least competing for the second place to now fighting for Champions League? Or there were many points in the season that led to this?
Yes. So it's a very simple answer to that. It's all about experience.
Hmm.
Okay. So even if you hear the interviews that these players were also given, like they were confident that they were scoring goals. Even Nicholas Jackson, Palmer, everyone. The Sky reporters are asking them, "Are you in for the title charge?" They said, "No, we are just enjoying the game."
Yeah.
And they know that okay, that's some part of the confidence and sometimes overconfident. They were confident that they can push for it, but not exactly. So if you see Maresca's previous managerial performance, his form at Leicester during the championship also dipped during December.
Mhm.
And it was down like downhill when at a stage he was at the peak, like top. I would say Leicester were at the top, and then they started losing matches. So it's all about experience. And if you see Maresca's game plan, he's a man of plan A. So he works on something called plan A. There's nothing called
Mhm.
plan B. Okay, so this is the new manager which are coming into the frame,
Yeah.
which works on okay, we have a plan A. Let's stick to it. We can change our inverted, you can say inverted RBs or inverted fullbacks, but we'll not change our plan. They are
Hmm.
so stoic about this. So if you see the match where we exactly the whole ball game changed, I would say we use the word haram ball. So the whole ball game changed was from Everton match. It was a draw.
Yeah.
I think that time I think this who was the coach who left that Burnley coach. Oh, I've
Sean
forgotten the
Dyche.
name. So he's an expert of draws, and he made us suffer.
Yeah.
And that was the match. If you see after that, we lost against I think Fulham 1-2. Then two matches back to back against Brighton.
Yeah.
I think one was again and one was against Newcastle. It was a downhill, and everyone was saying, "Okay, we'll come back, we'll do something." but that's where the experience of a manager as well as the player comes into picture. And then the unfortunate Palmer dip in the form came. Even after a dip, he's our top scorer, 14 goals. Right?
Exactly.
So everything happened, and I won't say I was always looking forward. This year we'll be top. This year we at least let's push for top two, top three. But even as a Chelsea die-hard fan from let's say 20 years now, I'm still happy even if we end up top six. That would be a good sign of improvement. Only thing is what I'm looking at, not change in the manager. That's something that we need to understand, because after Roman's era, we have been changing managers like just we are changing, you can say, playing cards or something like that. It's not working for us. And that's the problem that Roman has created. We are used to winning trophies one season after another. And if we don't win, Roman used to change that manager. So, as a fan, we need to understand that now the games have changed. Teams like Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, which have been always considered top 15 after top 15. So these are now climbing up because they have understood that the game has changed.
Yeah.
And that's the real sufferer are old teams like United,
True.
Chelsea,
True.
I would say. So we have to understand that.
Yeah. No, but that's some salient points that you made there, Saket, because you also said the downhill dip was in consequence with also Palmer's dip in form and how influential Palmer has been for you.
Exactly.
I was just looking at some stats. Palmer has only 2 goals for Chelsea in 2025, and
Yes.
he's played a lot more. Jackson, who's was prolific before the start of the year, and I know he was injured in I think February and March, but he has no goals. And do you feel this fear now? And I know you said that you would be happy if you finish top six, but do you fear now that the other teams around you are having this late surge, like Newcastle? Forest have had a fantastic season. Newcastle, Aston Villa. Now, they're having that surge, and you feel that Chelsea have to catch up. Also, considering the run of fixtures, we'll come back to that, the run of fixtures, but just the dip in form, do you think it's also because I want to ask, you said that the manager himself is someone who wants to play a certain way. And do you think players, when you have such a young squad, Palmer and all of these top youngsters, do you need to give them a bit of freedom as well to go and showcase themselves rather than put them under a system and then say, okay, this is exactly what I want you to do?
So I think that's the same problem with both our teams,
Mm.
Chelsea, United. All these managers are coming with a system approach.
Mhm.
So they are actually not, you can say, utilizing the exact talent who is there. So let's cite an example, James. Reece James is known to be a what? He's not a midfielder. What we are playing or what Maresca's game is, he's basically playing him as a midfielder now. He's basically, the position has changed completely because that fits his system. Okay, so the, you can say, the crop of players that we have now are also very, you can say, the inexperience is coming up, or also they are so much used to social media and fame that if they don't perform, they start thinking that I don't think my system, my play is not working. The system is not working.
Mhm.
So that's the human psychology. It's very simple. The players start thinking, oh, I don't think, even in the case of, you can say, the our previous manager, he also used to come with an approach where his system of running behind your stamina, it has to be on top of everything. If you see all their system, they are all system driven people.
Mm.
They nurture on one person, let's say Palmer in our case, it was Dele Ali when he was at Spurs. So sometimes they nurture on a one player's stamina, and then the whole system works around that. If that one player doesn't perform, then the whole system goes. And if you rightly said that when Jackson also went injured, so he's like a proper nine. He takes the whole pack line with him, which makes Palmer free. If
True.
you see, after Jackson got injured, if you just analyze those matches,
Yeah.
players were actually doing man marking.
Mm.
So, because there was no particular player to stop those two or three players basically at the defense line, Palmer was almost getting captured by a one man or you can marking. So
True.
that's the reason these goals started, the drought started, I
Mm.
would say. Defensively, I would say we have improved a lot
Mhm.
because defense, Even after Fofana got injured, our defense mainly concentrated on Colville, and sometime between Tosin, we had, I don't know, Badia Shield, who has to go out, that's for sure. But definitely, if he does well in Aston Villa, please take him. That's fine. But yes, we have one central person, Colville, but he's also very, I would say, not. He still needs a lot of experience, I would say. But seeing the form of the defenders, I would say, okay, they can take some part in maintaining the form of defending. But up front, definitely Palmer needs to form his our finest form, because if you see the form, the fixtures that we have, out of five, any team out of 20, I think ours is the toughest.
Yeah.
We have Newcastle, we have United, I think Liverpool on 4th May, and Everton again. After coming under Moyes, they have again find their form of beating clubs like, I think they had a draw with Liverpool or something like
Yep.
that, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
So you can just imagine they can be and we are known for as a Robin Hood.
I think you've mentioned a few good points, Akid. So I think it's still important that a manager has a philosophy and a system. Like in our case as well, like you said, it's almost similar, right? Amorim has a philosophy, and for the first time, he's actually sticking to it because I think the biggest mistake Ten Hag made was he kept changing according to the players, and that just led to his downfall. You end up, I think, trusting the wrong players when you do that as well. But like you said, Sakit, I think with these managers, I think what they try to find is one or two of those technically gifted players
Yes.
that they can manage that system around. One thing that I've noticed when I watch Chelsea games recently is that Cole Palmer, I think he's himself confused right now. That's one guy who just wants to play on the field. And if you give him like 100 instructions, you're just completely restricting his ability. Why would you do that? So it's something like that. But I also think like the advantage is like Maresca, I think he's a really good coach, to be honest. And
Yes.
what that means is, yeah, again, it's going to take some time, right? It's with all these new coaches, once they get that system instilled into the players' minds, it just becomes like a
Like
free-flowing
a
kind of
reputation, I
football.
would
Yeah.
say, right?
I hate that I'm taking this as an example, but let's look at
Yeah.
Arteta and Arsenal, right?
Yeah,
That's what's happened essentially.
exactly.
I hate to admit it again, but then they are genuinely a world-class team at this point. And I would say maybe they're maybe a striker away from being actual
True.
title challengers. If they get a good striker, I think I'm putting them as my
Yeah.
number one option for
Yeah.
title next season.
Yes.
So I think it's that case. Sometimes you want the managers to actually stick to that system, but also, it's like it's the same thing. If you see that you're losing the fans, if you see that everyone in the dressing room doesn't believe in the system whatsoever, I think that's when you need to have a hard look at yourself and be like, okay, maybe there needs to be some changes. And the biggest example for me is Ange right now, Postecoglou. I think he's honestly lost the fans at this point. I don't think even the fans want him at the club anymore, and that's a bigger problem. So he genuinely at this point, it's like he sticking to the system or not, it's not going to affect him. If you see his body language as well,
It's
it's
gone.
completely dipped. It's not the same Ange anymore. So it's that's a big trade-off you have to focus on as a manager as well.
Yes. And I would
Absolutely.
like to one point. You mentioned Arteta. If you see Arteta's
Yeah,
first season at Arsenal, there were revolts. Aubameyang, I think even
yeah,
this
Let.
guy. Everyone was against the way of style that he was
Yeah.
bringing in. Even the captain, he was also not really happy, and that was a revolt.
yeah,
It was a kind of a revolt going on across the fan base of Arsenal. So yes, it is about sticking to a particular manager. See what is, and I am really happy. At least whatever even Maresca has done in the quite short time, at least showing the glimpse of what it is. If you remember the
yeah,
first half of the season, our Chelsea A and the Chelsea B team, they were banging goals left and right. Conference League, like they were playing a very free flow football, and that's the reason the other teams study your form, study your system.
yeah,
There's an inverted fullback, Cucurella coming inside, so everyone will have to go for either plan B. So even Maresca, I think that Maresca will also learn from his mistakes in the first Premier League season, and he will come up with a plan B. But as a fan, I sometimes text in my group, WhatsApp group, and Enzo out. But still, I still feel that we should give him a chance, because changing managers won't bring us anything. Even United, even Chelsea, I think we need some managers to stick with us. And even Amorim, I would
yeah,
say Amorim had done really good job at Sporting. He just needs to find that passion behind United. That's the thing I feel missing Otherwise, if you see some games where you have to turn up against biggest team,
Yeah.
you're actually doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he keeps mentioning that as well, if you've seen Hari. So, like every interview of his after a Big Six club we face is like, why don't these players have the
True.
same mentality in the other games as well? And that's, I don't know, genuinely baffled by it as well because I don't understand what the players think. I don't know if they, at this point, I'm sure they don't take every game easy. They know for a fact that everyone's better than us. So I don't know what it is, but then they go into these games and it's a kind of, you see the atmosphere itself. It's a bit calmer. They're all like relaxed. And then it's like, you can't bring up intensity after that. It becomes really
The
hard.
body language.
But one thing I'll say is with Amarin, even though we might be 17th, and even though we're going into this season, we might be trophyless, we might be out of Europe next season. There's just something about him which makes me feel like this guy's for sure. If he stays, he's going to be successful. I don't know what it is. It's the way he talks about football itself. I think it's so simple and direct. Like we haven't had a lot. He reminds me a lot of Mourinho, and I love Mourinho because of that, because it was very direct, very straightforward. None of this woke football bullshit that I need this, I need that. His system is woke. Let me just say that his system is completely woke. But then again, it's just, I think he understands mainly what it is to play for Man United feels like, because it's not like playing for Aston Villa. It's not like playing for Newcastle. No matter what anyone says, there's a big difference when you play for these big clubs like Chelsea, United, Arsenal. There's a big difference.
Yes.
And he understands that for a change, and he understands how important it is for the players to understand
Yeah.
that as well, which is, I think, the biggest change for us.
And
Absolutely.
he is the protege of Mourinho, if I'm not wrong.
That's
Jose. Yeah, exactly.
That says everything.
brilliant. So
Yeah.
we have bonded over our team's woes in the Premier League. Let's shift to Europe. Vishal,
Mhm.
Bilbao next. One of probably the biggest games of the season. Again, semi-finals. We played them at home, at their home, that is. And of good news for United fans. Sanset, there. I don't know how
Nico
they
Williams.
pronounce him, but he's there, been their top scorer, and he's injured. And Inaki Williams is also flirting around injury, even though he scored and during the weekend for them. He scored the winner. But what do you feel about this game? Because we've never done well against Spanish teams. English teams in general don't do well.
Exactly.
United as well in knockout, especially, don't do well against Spanish teams. And Bilbao are that type of a Real Sociedad type team where they can on their day
Yeah.
get us done with us, and us as well. We are flimsy as hell. So what do you expect from United, and what needs to go right in order to get a result? Do you think, are you confident of getting a result there? Do you and come back home and finish the job, or do you think it's going to be you would take a draw there, come back home, and then finish the job?
Honestly, I would love if we get a draw
Hmm.
at this point. But see, the thing is, the biggest worry for me is
Hmm.
Valverde himself, Ernesto Valverde. I think he's a really good coach, especially with clubs like these. Again, it's a point of Bilbao at the end of the day, they need to understand one thing, that they need to just
Yeah,
win this game, because the next game
it's
for them, the
home.
final is at home again. That's the biggest advantage they have. So that's a big driving factor, according to me. And that's what I'm actually worried about. But yeah, like you said, for us, their strikers, Nico Williams and Sanchez, like you said, them not being available at this point, it's a big factor for us. I think, you know what, based on what I've seen United do in the past few games, I think defensively, for some reason, I feel we're getting better. It's again about those chances, man. Like the front three, the front attackers that we have. I'm not sure why, but they just don't click together at this point, and that's what's hurting us the most. And the only way we can overcome a club like Bilbao at this point is when, someone
Yeah.
actually steps up. I don't know if that's going to be Rasmus or Garnacho. To be honest, to be fair with Garnacho, he's been really improving the past few games. He's put his head down, he's understood his squad role, and he's actually doing well. He also has those moments in the final third where he messes up. You saw it against Lyon as well. But then there's that factor where if on his day Garnacho plays for the team, I know he
Yeah.
can do something. It's that thing. It's like we need more players to actually step up like that, because you can't expect Casemiro to do what he did against Lyon again. You can't expect Bruno to be the only person creating. You need other people to step in right now at this point. And again, with Diogo Dallo, I personally have given him a lot of flack, obviously, a lot. And I'm not a big fan of Diogo Dalot, but his passion, his intensity is something we will 100% miss
True.
in this game. So that's a worry for me. Now, you mentioned, Hari, that Shaw is coming back, but Shaw coming back means, do we still continue with Dorgu, or do we move Mazraoui to the right again, put Shaw on the left and drop Dorgu? That's an important
Yeah.
ask for me as well. If we're getting prime Shaw back and with our back three, again, man, I have really good hope. I don't know why. It's just Europe. I have
I
good
still feel
hopes.
if
Like a
Shaw were
broken
to
horse, bro.
go for it, Saket, sorry.
Yeah.
So he's like a broken horse now, man. Don't expect a lot from Shaw. He's
Shaw,
just like a Reece James.
And it's the hope, man. It's the hope that keeps
exactly.
you going.
Shaw and Reece James, what careers could have been if they were not injured?
Exactly.
Yes.
Seriously. But coming to your point, Vishal, I think if Shaw were to come to this team, also to prevent him from going up and down, I think they would play him left centre back, and Maz would draw right
Yeah,
wing back, and then
exactly.
someone would else would play left wing back. Something like that would happen. But yeah, I think draw and then come back to Old Trafford to see the job.
OT.
Okay, coming back to Chelsea, also playing in the Conference League against, I don't know how to spell this team, and I'm very sorry, I should have come prepared. Garden from Sweden. Brilliant. I don't know, I've not followed their.
Look at Hari
No.
throwing shade at Chelsea for no reason as well.
That was the kindest shade I could have thrown, though. Those who live in the shadows cannot throw shade, I guess. So.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's so true, dude.
nice, nice one.
But I think Chelsea have been flying in the Conference League, you can say. Jugarden, I think they've done well as well. What do you expect in this game? And more importantly, Sakit, I'm more interested. Do you think Maresca will prioritize one over the other, or is he saying, okay, this is my biggest chance of getting a trophy this season? Let me go get this trophy. Let me not worry about getting qualification to Europa. We will still push hard on the Premier League front, but let me get my hands on that trophy.
So, if you have been observing Maresca or his press conferences, he's very clear. He's not behind trophies, at least in the first year. That's what he says, at least. There's no expectation from him, even from the club owners, I would say. But definitely that brings in the brand value because we don't have a shirt sponsor till date. So that says something. So definitely there's a push from the management to at least go for the Europe, at least Europa spot.
Hmm,
That's something that we, or practically, I don't know if it is possible, UCL spot,
hmm,
something like that,
hmm,
which I hope it's very difficult to attain. But I think what I have seen and what the guys are also pushing is for the top spot.
hmm,
That's something. Top five is what they're looking, because Conference League, you can see statistically, and even as a football fan, as a normal, I will say neutral fan, I don't think that's a tough nut to do.
hmm.
Until unless I think it would be Real Betis against Chelsea in the final. That might be the scenario.
Where's the finals
Because
being played, Sakit?
that I'm not sure, but I think it's in Munich. If I'm not, oh, no, not Munich.
That's
I'm
the
sorry.
Champions League final.
That's fine. That's Champions League, because this is the first time we are in Conference League.
You always have those
Definitely.
amazing memories at Munich, can't? Yeah. Uh, Chelsea.
It's in
Oh, it's in
Poland.
Poland.
And this time, I think many happenings are you can say many incidents are happening, which are suggesting that an English club can. So it's in. Oh, okay. So it is happening near you. It's Leipzig, Germany.
Oh, it's in Leipzig. Okay, interesting.
Oh,
Yes.
Nice.
So if Chelsea goes, try to find a seat
Yeah,
and just see them lifting the
yeah,
Conference League trophy
yeah,
also. So
yeah.
let's see.
Let's see.
But I feel from a Conference League perspective, we should reach final.
Mhm,
That's for sure,
mhm,
because previous I don't think we have tough challenges in that far. That should give boost to Palmer and Jackson to open up something.
mhm.
And Kuku is waste, because I don't expect anything coming from him. That's for sure. I hope United buys him. If it is any link, just give us Garnacho and take this guy, something like that.
Probably
But
Nkunku needs that final in Leipzig to wake up the Nkunku from Leipzig that you got from, probably.
let's hope
Yeah,
that I would see a Peter Cech kind of performance in Sanchez and
yeah, yeah.
Drogba's performance in this guy, Ankuku. But yes, I'm hoping that Maresca is pushing forward in terms of spot, I would say. But yes, Conference League is up for grabs, and it should give our exposure to these young lads in terms of how a final is played, because that is some pressure that these guys need to have. But even if we don't end up winning something, I don't think there's not much the management is going to do, because there's very less expectation. Only thing is going to add is a brand value,
Yeah.
which could help us with some t-shirt sponsor or something like that. Because if
I
you
was
know,
just gonna say, honestly, I think you guys finishing top four or top five with UCL spot, I think that brings more value to you than
yeah,
just winning that Conference League
exactly,
trophy, I
exactly.
think.
So top 4 5
Yeah.
is what Maresca is also pushing for. Because if you know US business, they are pure business minded people. That I have been saying
Yeah,
it
yeah.
from day one. That once these US business owners have come, they don't know about football. Frankly speaking, if you follow baseball also, so there's a guy, I think they have LA Dodgers, the same ownership, and I think I'm not sure. I won't be able to pronounce the name. I think Ontana. That's the richest, I would say, deal happening in baseball, which LA Dodgers have completed. He's a Japanese player, and he's bringing loads and loads of endorsements. It's like a money flow for that LA Dodgers right now, and they are doing pretty good. But that took some time for them to achieve that level.
Mhm.
If they can replicate the same model in, you can say, Chelsea, for that they need a yes sir manager,
Hmm.
and I think Maresca fits that bill for the time being.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, he is definitely a yes sir. Whatever, if you see his body language in the press conferences, and then with this owners, it would be definitely different. Otherwise, we could have gone for a guy like Hansi Flick or something like that. Even Luis Enrique,
Mm,
he was very much interested to join Chelsea
yeah,
just before Real Madrid game, if I'm not wrong. So he gave
yeah.
that press conference because he's not a yes guy. He's I don't want to listen any shit of these like owners. Just let me do my own thing.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. That's something I know.
Brilliant, boys. Before we come to an end, quick one realistic transfer wish for already for the next season. We'll start with you, Saket. One realistic transfer wish that you have that can come true for Chelsea in an important position.
I think we need a striker.
Hmm.
For sure, we need a striker. Defensively, we can do well. But if we land up someone like Isaac, realistically, it would be Delap.
Hmm.
Something between me and, I would say, Chelsea and United. We have to fight for it. But if we land up someone like Isaac with some good deal, I'll be very happy. These two, or otherwise, I don't want Victor Osimhen or Gaia Chris or whatever the names that are coming in the market. But these are Premier League, I would say, players. They could well adapt to us.
Interesting. Striker with that young age profile and also Premier League experience. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Vishal, you for United, I know Cunha talks are going on, but any if
Mm.
that was your realistic transfer wish, or if there's any one wish that you had for United that you think would truly improve this team moving forward.
I don't know about Cunha, to be honest, man. Like, I want to be really happy that we might be getting him, but again, like, I'm not sure. Again, it's the whole attitude thing, man. Like, I'm not sure about his attitude, first of all. Work rate and all of that stuff is very later. We can manage that. But if the attitude itself, we've seen a lot, especially one of our players being at Chelsea now, freedom fighter. So we know how these players are. So just want to be really careful. But I think for me as well, like Saket said, a striker is so important for us right now. The problem is number nines in the market right now are so scarce that you don't have real world-class number nines anymore. And the ones that are there, like your Isaac and your Osimhen and people like that, we can't afford them at this point. Honestly, it's way too hard for us to go after someone like them. I don't know, man. I was thinking maybe Gyökeres would have been a good option, but again, if Arsenal go for him, I think he's going to be their biggest target for next season. What I would say is, if we look at players like Benjamin Sesko, for example, he was someone who was on our radar for a really long time. The problem is he's young, but again, I feel he's got that talent to maybe go in and prove himself. He wants to do that for United as well. So I think someone like him would have been a good option. I don't think we are even after someone like him at this point. Another one, I'm not even sure where he is right now, but what about Ferguson? Is he still with
I think he's
Brighton?
on loan to West Ham, but he's at
West Ham.
Brighton. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's on loan to me.
But
At
just
one
a
point,
pro
he
tip:
was.
don't buy any offensive, even a striker of someone from Germany. That's a pro tip. It'll be a waste.
That is true.
Timo Werner. Timo Werner
Ah,
talks going
Havertz
on.
also.
Oh, yeah, of course. But yeah, before we signed Dorgo, by the way, Hari, my number one target, without a doubt, was Kirkes
Yeah.
from Bournemouth. And now I don't think we are going to go after him,
Probably
obviously.
We
Liverpool.
are getting Hujison.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
so
is
there you go.
one.
Yeah, again, brilliant player.
That is
So
one.
I don't know whether the time allows, but he's basically making a deal where his agent is making a deal where once he joins Chelsea, it should open the gate for Real Madrid if he plays well. That's
Oh,
some deal happening. So that's some interesting discussions going on. So a project which helps him lead something better. Let's see.
he's certainly someone who's, I couldn't believe that a club like Bournemouth could get him out of a place like Juventus. And I didn't
Yeah.
understand that
Genuinely.
deal. And what he's done along with Saberni in that Bournemouth defense is something else. He's someone he's locked in all of the attributes you
All
mentioned.
of the
Yeah, he's
exactly.
Everything.
so good
He's
looking.
just 19 years. That's something to put in
Exactly.
19. And he ticks everything in our Chelsea bracket. So we want the youngsters, that's all. We can't look for an experienced guy.
But do you feel that is why you feel Isak would be a better fit and that striker, a little bit experienced?
Definitely. So that's some experience we need at the top. And see, if you see Isaac also, he also has an attitude problem. Same.
Mhm.
Not like Cunha, but Cunha is a brat. He's just like a Diego Costa. So if you can manage that guy, but Diego Costa, mind it, he was handled pretty well when we had John Terry or someone like that to handle that guy. So if let's say
That's
Cunha,
what I'm worried about.
yeah, if you sign Cunha, you need a leader like Casemiro or someone to handle that particular guy's attitude because you can't have a you can say a Hulk kind player roaming around and just beating the hell out of everybody. So just like that.
Brilliant. On that note, that is all we have for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us on the pod. It has been absolutely lovely having you with us, and we are very grateful for sharing your thoughts on Man United and Chelsea. It didn't even feel like a podcast, it just felt like three friends on a warm evening
Okay.
here, at least in Europe, and also one person in the night joining from India, I guess, after a hard day's work, just sitting and talking about football. So it was a pleasure having you guys.
Pleasure.
Thanks for having me, Hari. This was fun.
It
Brilliant.
was fun. Yeah, definitely talking with a Man United fan after a long time, I would say.
Yeah, with the kindest United fans you can
Oh,
find.
let's hope we beat
Do
you on.
this next season and I'll show you my actual colors. Do this next season.
We should do a podcast again to just see how we
Yeah.
perform. Right?
How we change our colors. Have we come out of the shadows or
Yes.
not yet? Yeah, yeah.
Sure, sure.
One have for Vishal is to be careful. Saket has talked about his wrestling prowess. So yes, there you go. Pick your fights
Yeah, yeah,
wisely.
yeah. We'll have to do it online, never coming in front of you though.
Twitter.
Brilliant. As
Okay.
always, guys, please do share and subscribe to our content on Corner Football Pod. And your love and support has been par excellence. It was so good that even when we were taking a break, there's the flex coming out. It's guys like these, right? When we were taking a break, it's guys like these who would message us and ask us about when the next episode is coming up. So thank you so much, guys. Keep up the support, and until we will be back soon with another episode. And trust me, you do not want to miss that. And until we see you, then it's take care, be safe, and be aware of any corners taken quickly. Yeah. See you guys. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.